Good afternoon, traders and investors. It's Will here with another one. I hope you guys are good today. Bit of a red day today in technology especially. And we're going to take a look here at some of our major indexes. There's a lot of rotation happening now, which is why the SPY dropped a lot less than the QQQs did, which is a good thing overall, guys. And don't forget, we have been focusing on the fact that consolidation was due, especially in a lot of big tech names over the past few weeks. We were just kind of waiting for it as they remained overbought on the RSI levels for a couple weeks now. So this should be really no surprise to you guys. Not a reason to panic. Everything is still okay. We are just looking for weekly higher lows. So without further ado, let's get into some charts. So looking at SPY here, guys, SPY in with a minus 0.35 day. Not too big of a day on SPY here, right? Why? Because I'll show you the heat map, right? So a lot of our big tech names were down today. And this is kind of a polar opposite of what was the case the past 3-4 weeks, right? Usually, all the rest of this heat map would be red, and Microsoft, Apple, Google, Meta, Amazon, NVIDIA would be green, right? So now the complete opposite. Most of the market actually was putting in some decent gains, or at least some small, tiny losses, but our big tech names were the biggest losers today. So you kind of love to see this reversal because this means that the market is healthy. When the market is leaving big tech names, it is rotating into more defensive names currently, right? Energy, industrials, utilities, materials, even some financials, right? So everything here does appear to still be healthy in terms of rotation. So in terms of a level basis here, we're looking at this point for SPY to set a pretty much daily higher low at this point. Since we did not break a new high, this is still daily consolidation. Anything above 417, this level right here, will just be a daily higher low. And we're also potentially looking, if it does continue, guys, there is a lot of space. Don't get worried for a weekly higher low. At that point, anything above 410 would be your weekly higher low. So tons of space for the bulls to actually fall back on should we need to consolidate further, which is why I'm really not too nervous. This is just much needed consolidation. Keep your eye on the 4-hour chart, right? If we lose the moving average, the 12 EMA in a significant faction, expect some further downside, and we do have a very big area of support down here, guys. So nothing to get too worried about, but you do kind of want to see it slowly trickle down into here and not really come down in here violently, right? With any bad macro news, especially considering next week we do have the CPI and interest rate decisions coming out, right? So keep an eye out on that for SPY. As long as you do see some healthy rotation into other sectors, we're just doing fine here. Technology, our biggest loser on the day. This should be no surprise to anyone. It was bound to happen, right? The RSI levels, you can just see how overbought we were. And I've been kind of preaching this over the last week or so, that when we're this overbought, guys, we do always have to consolidate, right? If you go back in history, whenever we get this overbought, we do tend to have some consolidation periods, right? It's just inevitable for the market. When you get this overbought, it's bound to happen. Normal market movement, right? So at this point, anything above 346, 67, 67, 70, right? Anything above here is just your daily higher low. Granted, there's not that much more space left for it, and we are coming down pretty hot. So if it does break below here, it opens up the possibility that we may set a daily downtrend. If we do set a daily downtrend, guys, have no fear. Look how much space there is on the weekly to set that higher low, right? The higher low comes all the way down here at 310. There is massive amounts of space, right? We have nice horizontal support zone coming in at this level here. We have the 12 EMA here as well. So guys, don't get too nervous about this. This is really healthy consolidation. It was needed, bound to happen on the weekly. We are overbought as well. So just keep your eye out on this level here, 346.80. If it does break, then just keep your eye on the daily chart. We're going to need for the bears to get exhausted. Also keep an eye on the 4-hour time frame, right? If we start pushing lower on the 4-hour, keep an eye on the RSI. Just look for it to get oversold and just play off the levels, right? We're due for some consolidation. I think that it is personally here. It might stay here for the next week, 2 weeks, potentially, right? And give us some much needed retracements here before being able to kind of settle and then move on higher. This is how markets work, guys. I mean, every move up, we get consolidation, right? Even throughout the bull runs. So this should be no surprise. We've now been up for 6 weeks in a row. So it's kind of warranted, right? So position accordingly. XLF. XLF doing a lot of the heavy lifting here in the past couple days, right? So as you can see, XLF with a confirmed now daily uptrend, first time since pretty much the early April uptrend here. So very, very good. What we were saying yesterday is we're keeping an eye on the 3350 level. This is going to be the level that the bulls need to break in a convincing fashion if we want to see further upside on the weekly. So setting up finally this weekly uptrend potential, it will only really be intact if we can break this 3350 zone. Keep an eye on that zone, but so far so good. A lot of our names that did get sold down pretty aggressively are coming up. We're looking at Charles Schwab grinding higher. We're looking at JP Morgan also grinding higher here as well, right? We can look at the payment processors. MasterCard didn't have a very good day today, but is off the bottom of about a week and a half ago, right? So still looking healthy on the payment processors. Visa as well had a negative day, but took it all back. And American Express, right? American Express has been one of our best payment processor performers here. It is one of my favorite credit card processors. As a matter of fact, their clientele stands to be hit less aggressively in forms of a recession if it does come due. Why? Well, American Express usually caters to a higher middle class to luxury segment. So it stands to argue that their customers have more purchasing power than your average Visa or MasterCard users. Even though Visa and MasterCard caters to more people, the quality of American Express's people tends to be higher, which is why you're seeing a bit of outperformance here. So very, very good job on XLF, really lifting the market for the rest of the bulls. As you can see, one of our big sectors that was green today. XLV still looking to kind of set the daily higher low here compared to this low down here, right? So we're still looking for it. The bears have come down quite aggressively now for the past 2 days. Remains to be seen though if we can put a stop. What you need to see, if you're a healthcare bull, you need to see them regain an hourly trend change. As long as there's no hourly trend change, as long as we remain in an hourly downtrend, you can't say that that's the bottom of the move, right? So if you want to see where the bottom of this move is going to happen, wait for your hourly trend change to start reverting to the bulls. Then you can argue that your daily higher low is potentially in. The last thing you want though is for the bears to cut too deep into this move. If they cut too deep into this move, guys, we may go into some tightening range action without being able to set the daily uptrend right away, right? So XLF, anything above at this point, 126.14-ish, 126 flat kind of is just going to be your daily higher low. So keep an eye on that. Bulls need this to really start performing well. And if QQQ continues to dip hard, putting in these minus 1.5%, 2% days, you're going to need financials at least to come in. Because I'll remind you guys, if you look at these, the size of these sectors, right? Look at healthcare. It's a very big sector like financials. So if all this starts to drop, we need these guys, not only the smaller sectors, to perform with them, right? So just keep an eye on XLV for that. And XLV is a fairly defensive name, right? Still, currently only about 9.5% from all-time highs. So we're still holding up fairly decent in the grand scheme of things. But you do want to see bulls hold these levels, and you want to see them stop this move as quickly as possible to set the daily trend change ASAP, right? So moving on to the Russell, IWM with some heavy outperformance here. You love to see it, especially in a day where QQQ technology is down so much, guys. Well, you would think, is money potentially leaving the market altogether? Are people getting scared? Well, IWM, small and mid caps, shows you that no, investors are not scared. They're just rotating into what they perceive to be better value. A small and mid cap name like Affirm today, right? Affirm only with about a under 5 billion market cap had a massive day on the open, gave it all back pretty much, but they were up pretty much 10%. A lot of smaller names today, guys, were performing very well into the open here. And they held a lot of the gains throughout the day, right? So Russell was able to close at the high, and that's probably also largely due to financials. Financial plays about, depending on the weights at any given time, between a roughly 15 to 18% weighting at any given time, all things considered in the IWM. So probably a lot of outperformance came from our regional banks today, which had a very good day here at 3.31%, right? IWM, as I was saying in yesterday's video, my next target for this market is going to be this demand zone here, right around between the 189, 190 to 191. These guys right here is what I'm targeting for the next area of resistance. At this point, it's very healthy. Anything above this purple line is going to be anything above 179-ish, guys, going to be your daily higher low. So daily uptrend is beautifully set at this point. Still a lot of space. We're not overbought on the daily like QQQ was. 4 hour, however, is getting a bit overbought. So it wouldn't surprise me here if we do cool off slightly a little bit, maybe wait for this 12 EMA to catch up here a bit and then progress to move higher. Or we might just do it in 2 candles and just rip the band-aid off and then be in for some likely consolidation here. On the weekly, still looking very healthy, guys. That's why I say, this is now what you need financials to do. So if you look at this chart and you look at XLF, is that not the exact same setup? It's the exact same setup, right? So just keep in mind, guys, that may be leading. We may have IWM here leading the pack in terms of the breakout here, breakout of the zone, right? So keep an eye on that. I will be very interested if we do start to retrace a little bit. I will want to be writing options in this area here, provided that the premium is good. That's going to be my next zone that I'm looking for here, anywhere between 179 and the 200-week moving average here, which is sitting about 181, right? So this little pocket here is where I'm going to potentially be looking to write options if we do ever come back down there. Dow Jones name also bullish on the day, so there was a lot of value names that were performing fairly well today. If I move over to my value list here, you can see that the railroads, some energy here, Home Depot is up, right? Taiwan Semiconductors should or should not be in there, right? But as you can see, the dollar stores as well were doing fairly well. The banks, right? Walmart, for instance. Sorry, I'm just going through the list, right? So we did have a lot of different value names. Let's just do the rundown of the Dow Jones name, right? Home Depot, John Deere had a nice green day, right? Pepsi, I believe, was down. Yeah, Pepsi was still down, which means that Coca-Cola is probably still down as well, but slightly down in the, let's look at Estee Lauder with another negative day. So fairly mixed, guys, even Disney had a nice green day today. So all in all, we were kind of mixed. Nike as well with a nice green day. Finally, Nike starting to kind of do the round bottom thing here. So if we're looking at the Dow Jones, a lot of names did actually make up for the losses today. Still keeping an eye on the weekly for this inverse head and shoulders potential. If technology takes a breather and we do rotate back into value a little bit, I would expect this pattern probably to complete over the next week or two, right? To really get back up to this neckline. Ugly neckline, right? So back up to this neckline and potentially be due for a push higher. This would come in line with potentially as well, after such a big monthly tightening range, could get a monthly breakout, which would confirm, guys, potentially a monthly uptrend, right? This would be very, very good, very, very notable for the markets. Dow Jones is one as well that we're really not that much off all-time highs, guys. So about 8.5% off all-time highs with some good momentum behind us could put us over. So daily uptrend is now set. Anything above 33,400 is going to be a higher low on the daily. And we do have some moving average support here, so that's fairly good, guys. So this is looking quite bullish, in my opinion, with so many names looking to set potential temporary bottoms, right? You saw it on Home Depot kind of swinging to the upside here. You saw it with our credit card processors kind of swinging to the upside here, right? Visa, MasterCard as well, trying to put in the round bottoms here with the moving averages. So these are weekly charts, guys. So keep in mind, these Dow Jones names could come back. And if they do, they'll really take some pressure off of the technology drop. Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin. Will we ever be able to break this channel to the upside? Remains to be seen. What was I saying yesterday, guys? I was saying yesterday that we had a very nice demand zone here and bulls needed to absolutely hold this move. I would be surprised if we take it all back. Well, I might just have to eat my words here, guys, because we did not stop where I wanted us to stop. If you go back to my video yesterday, I literally drew this and up because that's where I wanted it to stop, right? I wanted it to use these guys as support and stop there. Unfortunately, we did push lower. If you want to run it on the fib now, it's not looking the greatest, right? So on the fib level, we tagged the 618, which is our last line of defense if you want the move to continue, right? So really, we're working like pretty much to the... We're like pretty much on the level now here, guys. It's basically a do or die at this point, right? Because if you come any lower than this, guys, then it just devolves into a tightening range. And I'm pretty sure that most Bitcoin investors are kind of tired of seeing that, right? Especially since we've been doing that for the better part of the last 2.5, 3 months at this point, right? So at this point, Bitcoin, it is still bullish, barely bullish. We're barely holding on, right? What we needed to see is we needed to see the 4-hour downtrend stop. It needs to stop now. So what do I need to see is I need to see the bulls regain the hourly. We're in an hourly downtrend now. Now, finally, we've engulfed this last recent move here. We've engulfed it. Now, can we set an hourly uptrend? That is the key for me. Hourly time frame leading into tomorrow and Friday's action is going to be crucial, okay? Because we want the dailies to start closing back harder here. I need the weekly for Bitcoin bulls. I need the weekly to close in a doji like this with as little of a head as possible. It needs to take this back, right? Take this back or end green. That would be very, very bullish. Very, very bullish for Bitcoin. The one thing I don't like on Bitcoin weekly right now is the fact that we are curling over on the MACD on the weekly. Don't like to see that. That would be our first weekly curl over since pretty much August. So it's been a while that on a relative basis, we have not been weak. We've been strong on a relative basis. Why? Because we're comparing it with this massive drop, right? So no secret there. It's a relative analysis. That's why you got to know what these tools do. So all the proof is on the hour bulls. It's going to have to reset the hourly uptrend here if they want to follow through. Ethereum is in the exact same situation. As a matter of fact, Ethereum is arguably worse because now, in my opinion, we've given back too much of this move, guys. We've given back too much of the move. So all eyes will be on Bitcoin. If you run the fibs here, if you run the fibs, you'll see that we went past the 618. So whenever we go past the 618, guys, it's kind of like point of no return, right? Bulls have arguably lost all of the juice that they had from this move. They've given it all back. Now, the best we can aspire to is a tightening range, right? The worst that can happen is obviously a flush of the lows, right? So keep an eye on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the number one thing to watch right now. Obviously, levels to the upside to be watching, 27.3. Then our upside channel, levels to the downside is our line in the sand level now at this point, 25,300, and your downside channel, which arguably coincides with the 200 daily moving average, this green line, and the lower end of the channel or horizontal support from back here, lower end of the channel, right? So some good support down there, but you don't really want to go down there because the more you go down there, guys, the more we start taking back of this monthly move, right? And it is a monthly bull flag. So eventually you're going to want to see that follow through. Now, let's go over a lot of the tech names here quickly because they're doing things that we've been expecting them to be to do, right? So Apple daily consolidation, well started now at this point, right? So daily consolidation is started. Anything above 170.3 at this point is going to be a daily higher low. The more we keep pushing down in here, guys, if we push down lower, might set up the opportunity for a daily downtrend. At that point, guys, we would be ending up in weekly consolidation. Weekly consolidation, the exact same level, 170 point, let's just call it 170.5 flat. Nice little 12 EMA down here. So you definitely want to see the bulls hold as much as they can. But if they don't, that's a level to be watching out for. Apple definitely in need for some weekly consolidation. As you can see, have not put in a big bearish weekly candle here since pretty much March, banking crisis, right? So very, very important. Sorry, guys, if I'm kind of sinking in my chair here. Let me be a bit more professional. So Apple, weekly consolidation well underway. Bears are in control of this move. Keep your eye on the 4-hour downtrend. As long as the bulls are in control of the 4-hour downtrend, the daily down swing is not completed. Amazon, same thing on Amazon, right? We were overbought just like on all the other big tech names I'm going to show you. It's been a long time since you've seen big tech put in a minus 4% day, right? A very, very long time. You have to go really back a lot in time to see Amazon put in a minus 4% day, right? It was either really bad during the October, it must have probably been during October, right? Yeah, see, late October, November. The reason they're putting it in here is because we were so overbought, guys. There was nobody left to buy. So we were perfectly tagged pretty much our levels of resistance up here. Now we're coming down, tagging the 12 EMA on the daily. At this point, we're barely holding on to the daily uptrend, right? Anything above 119.40 is a daily higher low, but we're coming in hot. Would not surprise me if we potentially have more in stake here for Amazon on the weekly. Don't get nervous though. On the weekly, we do still have a lot of space. Anything above 102 pretty much is just going to be a weekly higher low. Moving averages are down here, guys. Weekly was slightly getting a bit rich, right, on the RSI. So if we do need to consolidate here for this week and potentially another week or maybe 2 more weeks, it's absolutely fine, guys. This is a weekly uptrend with tons and tons and tons of space, but keep your eye on the daily. If you want to know when the daily move is done, just keep your eye on the 4-hour. We're going to need to see what happens. Are bears going to actually control this time frame on the 4-hour and keep pushing lower into more daily consolidation? Or are the bulls going to be able to save this by bouncing high and then resetting the trend in their favor? If you ask me personally, what do I expect? I do expect tech to kind of, consolidate a bit further, at least maybe for this week and potentially into next week, maybe Monday, Tuesday. And if we can get an aggressive move after either CPI or Powell, that would kind of complete the move really quickly. And then we would be due for some more grinding to the upside, right? Google, pretty much the same thing, right? Google, we were kind of getting, well, Google on the weekly wasn't overbought, but if I show you on the daily, right, we had kind of been in this overbought area here for a while, tried to push the highs. The bears didn't want to have any of it, so they pushed right back down into my key area here. This level here, looking for it to act as support as it has been resistance there for a long time. So this whole area here, guys, so right, so these lines, right, keep in mind, we're going to have some decent support in here. So we'll see if it can actually slow down the bears in some good fashion. At this point on the daily, right, we have slightly lost the daily uptrend at this point. Barely. It's kind of teetering on it. But if we do get some negative push in tomorrow, it will have definitely been lost at that point. If it does get lost, have no fear, guys. Even if we do something like this, right, doesn't really matter. What are we looking for? Looking for a weekly consolidation. Weekly consolidation, right? Anything above at this point, 104.60, 105 is your weekly high or low. So it's another case of this is healthy consolidation on Google. Keep your eye on the daily time frame, right? Just want to see the high and low patterns, right? And you need to see when they break. Definitely keep your eye on the 4-hour. Do we set the 4-hour downtrend, or can we bounce enough that that becomes a non-factor? So tomorrow and Friday, definitely going to be very big for a lot of these tech names. Amazon, we already did. Microsoft, also same thing as the other ones, right? So what are we looking for? Daily and weekly consolidation. We have now lost the potential daily uptrend, right? Our last line in the sand level was around 325-ish. We're now below that. So it remains to be seen if the bears can push down lower and lower and then set a lower high compared to this. We will be entering a potential daily downtrend. If that does happen, it'll be the first daily downtrend in quite some time. But what we are just looking for here, guys, is just a weekly high or low. At this point, anything above 306, in my opinion, anything above 306, right where this moving average is just going to be your weekly high or low. Much needed consolidation. Microsoft, as we've been saying, has been overbought for a few weeks now. So if anything, on a lot of these big tech names, guys, it's just an occasion for us to cool off things that have been pricey now, like expensive on the RSI now for a while. Look what happened here, right? We lost it and dropped relatively hard, kind of like we're doing now. And then earnings came in to save us, but it has happened a few times now to where we've kind of lost and then it's bottomed and then we've come right back, right? So these names are very solid. People still like them. They are somewhat recession proof. So just keep an eye on your target levels. We're looking for weekly consolidation. No need to say if it's going to be a weekly downtrend yet or something like that when we haven't even set our daily lows yet, right? So just one day at a time, guys. No reason to panic. If anything, on a lot of these names, this is going to be an opportunity. If you have seen this rally play out and you've kind of felt you're kind of missing out and left behind, right? If you look on the monthly, we've created a lot of space. So if in the next few weeks we do come down, this could be the opportunity to start some positions off of a retest, right? So big breakout. We'll see if we can get the retest here. That is where personally I'm looking to buy some of these names, is going to be on this consolidation. Meta, exact same thing as our other tech names. Look, overbought on Meta, now starting to come down on the weekly. If we go down to the daily, look how overbought we were on the daily on Meta. It was absolutely ridiculous. Now finally coming back to somewhat normal levels. Anything above this purple line here is going to be your weekly high or low. On the daily, Daily's a bit higher, however, 259-ish is going to be your daily higher low. If we break that and then potentially set a daily downtrend, you're going to be looking down at this purple line for support, which is roughly 245-ish, right? 245 is the level that I want to see respected for me. Line in the sand for the weekly, though, is 231 for me. You definitely don't want to see them do that, because that would set it up for potentially some larger monthly consolidation into the moving averages down here. Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, that could always be possible. We've been coming up now for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months of higher highs in a row. So you potentially get some inevitable consolidation. Is this it? Nobody knows. That's why we're going to keep an eye out on our daily time frames here to see how big does this daily downtrend get and when does it stop. If I'm looking to start positions, that's what I'm going to be looking at. I'm going to be focusing on the daily. Do ever we get daily oversold? If we ever get daily oversold, it should be marking pretty much a weekly close to a weekly bottom of a swing, which is where I'm going to be looking to build some positions. So just looking for some healthy consolidation. Bulls are still in control of all the major time frames. If you're fearful right now, just keep an eye on the monthlies, right? The monthlies on these charts are absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous monthlies, right? No need to panic, guys. Really no need to panic. We've set the monthly uptrends on a lot of these, right? So it's just consolidation. NVIDIA too. Look at this monthly chart. So much space, guys. We have the recent all-time highs here too that can act as support, right? So much space. So NVIDIA doing the same thing. We're now pretty much in a daily downtrend. So this might be our first name, right? That's actually created. At this point, we have lower highs and lower lows, right? So this is technically a daily downtrend at this point. I know not a lot of people want to hear that, but we have a lot of space. So much space with the gap fill. We do have our previous all-time highs, which are up here, 346, 347, all the way down to 330. Big zone of support here for this name. So looking fairly decent for the bulls long-term on NVIDIA. I'm not buying up here. What am I going to wait for? I'm going to look for potentially the sellers to get exhausted. So I'm going to be looking more towards this area here if it can act as support. What I want to see, guys, if I draw it visually, I want to see something like this. Really hesitate and struggle, right? Struggle for a while at one level, and then we reset. As soon as I see that kind of start to curl and whatnot, I'll be looking on the weekly time frame. Where are we? Have we taken back enough of it? Are we still weekly overbought? As you can see, it's still weekly overbought. So that's what I'm looking for to enter positions to the long side on some of these trades or writing options. Now you guys know. Okay, so keep an eye on your daily. We'll see when this daily move does bottom out, right? So as long as we're in a 4-hour downtrend, the daily move won't stop. So just keep an eye, 4-hour and daily for all of these names, guys. Very, very important, right? If you want to know when the daily downswing is bottom, keep an eye on the 4-hour chart. Okay, so NVIDIA coming down on the weekly. If we do get weekly consolidation, tons of space, anything above 285, right? To anything above 285 is a weekly higher low. So much space, guys. Don't get worried, right? This whole semiconductors industry is due for a bit of weekly consolidation. The ETF is even weekly overbought, right? So weekly consolidation is underway on a lot of these names, right? You're going to get some daily pullbacks, some daily downtrends in motion. At this point, what I'm looking at on SMH is going to be yesterday's low pretty much. If we break yesterday's low, we are in a confirmed daily downtrend. And at that point, we're just looking for weekly consolidation. It's the same if you want to look at a name like AMD. AMD, anything above 8150 on the weekly is just going to be a weekly higher low, right? Daily downtrend at this point is kind of guaranteed, right? We may just swing and fill this gap area, but have no fear, guys. Anything above is a higher low. Anything above 80, right? Anything above 81-ish, higher low. So tons and tons of space for that to happen. Much needed cool down on a lot of these semiconductor names. So just don't panic too soon. We still have some good semiconductor names that are not really overbought, right? That also have a lot of space. TSM is one of them. ON Semiconductors is another, right? Though these have not run in a parabolic fashion. So they can provide some decent support. Potentially on the way down if we rotate out of AMD, NVIDIA, the high flyers, and into some names that have been kept potentially artificially low. Let's move on to PayPal here. I want to take a quick look at PayPal here. So PayPal, we may be near the end of this daily move, right? So we did have a higher high today, but then we broke yesterday's low as well. So this could be the end of the move. What you need to see on PayPal here is you need to set a daily higher low as soon as possible. Maybe not lose this 12 EMA. I know we're right there, but bulls really need to hold this, guys. If we want to have any shot of potentially reversing into a weekly uptrend and not just rolling over for further downside, because this is a weekly downtrend. Don't get me wrong, right? It has been a weekly downtrend for the longest time now, right? So this is what you're looking. The bears are looking for this, okay? But as a bull, what you want to see to set up the bullish reversal, you want to see hold the bullish daily uptrend, confirm it, right? And then push as much as possible into this area. The higher you push into this area, the more difficult it gets for the bears to just slam it down without any company specific or macro catalysts, right? So that's what we're looking for. PayPal, keep an eye out on the 1 hour time frame. The bulls need to, this was a big move down, guys. The bulls need to absolutely regain this hourly trend as soon as possible if you want to find your daily higher low, right? But at this point, a lot of space, anything above 59 is going to be a daily higher low. So that's what the bulls need to do for it. Tesla in the same situation as a lot of big tech, right? Tesla has run, look on the daily. We are massively overbought on the daily. This is a point in time where usually Tesla stock, when it does get this overbought, it does tend to start to cool down, right? You can go back in history and see whenever it gets this overbought, right? Just line it up with the chart. It either consolidates sideways or does a sell-off, right? Up here, you can see over here. So whenever it does this, you kind of have to expect either some sideways chop or a pretty decent sell-off, right? At this point on Tesla, anything above 212.50-ish is going to be a daily higher low. So tons of space still. We're at 224 close, right? Tons of space. What I want to see Tesla do is hold this yellow line. Hold our previous 217 line of support. If it just wants to go sideways potentially for a few days, up to a week, that's fine as long as we can cool off our RSI in the process, right? What's going to cool off this RSI? Either a quick, fast drop or just moving sideways for a while, right? I would rather see it move sideways for a while, make a nice little bull flag. Obviously, if big tech, the rest of big tech continues to drop, may not be able to just do that on its own, right? So on the weekly time frame, we've now been up for 4 weeks in a row, a lot of space on the weekly, so at least we're not weekly overbought. But if we do lose yesterday's low, then what I'm going to be looking for, guys, is weekly consolidation, potentially closer to the around 206 area, all the way down to potentially 200. This would give Tesla a really nice bounce zone, right? To where it can then come up. This would actually coincide with all the moving averages being there at the same time, right? You have your 12, 26, and 200 week down here, right? So a lot of space for Tesla. This is very bullish. We are now in a potential monthly uptrend. So I do believe that there's still a lot of good upside to come for Tesla, but now slightly overbought on the daily time frame and below, right? 4 hour as well. So keep an eye out for consolidation down anywhere between here and our 200 level. Personally, I would feel very, very comfortable with. I'm going to be looking to get some written puts as close to 200 level as I can for 0.5% to 1% a week for the next 2-3 weeks while the technology stocks do consolidate. All right. Another one looking out for Enphase. Some people have asked me about Enphase. Haven't done it in a few streams. So Enphase, we're doing a very good job. This looks better on the weekly, right? So same thing as PayPal. Same chart as PayPal. The bears are expecting something like this. That's what they want. They want the weekly lower high compared to our previous high to just continue this massive downtrend. As a bull, what you want to see is you want to see the bulls come up as high as possible on this swing so that it makes the further downtrend hard for them to do. The best that the bears could get at that point is a tightening range. The higher you go, though, the likely scenario becomes setting a higher low compared to this low and then reversing it, right? So that's what you want to see on Enphase. Enphase, the time frame to look out for me is the daily currently. We are currently in a daily bull flag, which is really, really good holding these levels. Anything above 180 pretty much at this point is just going to be a daily higher low. If we do lose it, all right, we do have the moving averages down here, and we would still be healthy in the grand scheme of things compared to this move, even if we come down to the moving averages, right? So keep an eye on the 4 hour chart. 4-hour for me on end phase is the most important chart. We've been in a tightening range up here, holding the moving averages at the higher level, which is a bullish signal. But if we were to lose it and roll over into potentially a 4-hour downtrend, right, then you need to see where's that going to stop. Is it going to stop down here around 175? Need to see when that 4-hour downtrend stops. Then you will have your daily bottom potentially close to these moving averages. If I had to guess, that will be an area where I will be looking. If the market comes down here, I will then be writing options below the one, anywhere between 162 to around 168-ish, right? In this lower level here, because I don't think that the likely scenario is to come all the way down there. Anything's possible though. That's just where I would be writing options on end phase, but still looking fairly bullish. I do believe that the bulls do have more work to put in to the upside before this move would potentially be complete. Sorry, before this move would be complete into weekly consolidation, right? So end phase looking fairly decent. I know it doesn't look all that great, guys, but I am very bullish on end phase. I like the company. I love their margins. I love their revenue streams and their expansion over the next 3, 4, 5 years. So I do have quite a bit of long shares that I'm holding for the long term. But in terms of options writing, I do want to be a bit more conservative because I do have quite a bit of shares. So if I am going to pick up some more shares, it would have to be at 165 and below, right? That's just my target. I don't want it to get back there. I would rather see them push up, but I'm open to the possibility that's always the case because we are still in weekly bear control, right? So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't get too nervous, guys. This consolidation has been due for a while. Just don't forget, as long as you see rotation, right? I want you guys every day, if you see red in tech, please come to your heat map, okay? This is finviz.com heat map. You can just Google it, right? Finviz heat map, right? You see it up here, Finviz. Just go on the heat map. Just see, is the entire market dumping or is it just rotation? What you want to see is you want to see if QQQ is red, you want to see what is XLF and XLV doing because they're the biggest components, right? Another giveaway today that the market was healthy. Add this. This is the equal weighted SPY, okay? If all stocks are of equal weight, if Apple, Google, and Amazon and NVIDIA are not this big, right? What does the market look like? Okay, these represent the biggest components of the S&P. But if they were all the same size, if all companies were of equal weight in the index, this is what it would give. Okay, so as you can see, if all else were equal, it was actually positive on the day, quite positive on the day, which shows you that the only names consolidating in big ways are the names that have been overbought over the last few weeks and arguably months too. So great to see that investors are taking profits from those names and staying in the market because they're confident in the market. All right. So hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, I would really love if you guys liked the video and subscribe. I hope you guys are finding this useful information. Even though there may not be a lot of you watching, I appreciate every single one of you. I appreciate you so much. You have no idea. I love you guys. Happy trading. And, don't get too emotional. Don't get too emotional. The market's healthy, and I'm still cautiously optimistic through the rest of the year. There's not that many negative catalysts on the table. Keep an eye out on inflation. It's the only thing that can derail this market is ridiculous inflation numbers. But personally, not financial advice. I don't think that's going to happen. So where I think we are started actually the next 5 to 10 year bull run. So very, very pleased and very, very happy and looking forward to the future. So take care, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.